Oh, yeah. You know what time it is. It is time for thedailybreadproject.com. So stoked that you are here. I have an amazing guest scheduled for today, and she should be here shortly. Really stoked to be speaking with her. Remember, we do this at 10 a.m. Eastern daily. Go to thedailybreadproject.com and there's links to everything. There's the links to iTunes, to Google, to the live, all of it right there for you so you can get your daily nourishment. I see my guest is here, so let me start doing the technical things that I need to do to make this thing happen, which includes promoting my guests to panelists and getting this thing going live to Facebook. So I'm going to go ahead and promote you to panelists. I'm going to pray that the Zoom gods allow us to stream this thing onto Facebook, and then we're going to rock with it. So far, so good. Everything looks like it's working, and I want to make sure that I do a proper intro here, so I'm going to want to share my screen. But again, everybody tuning in, thedailybreadproject.com every day, 10 a.m. Eastern. If you've been listening to the show and you like what we're doing, I would like to ask you to share the bread, baby. Share the bread. All right, so we are going live to Facebook. I am going to come back over here and introduce my guest, but I want to do it with a screen share because I want people to understand. I want people to get how important this is. All right, that looks like it's working. We are live. And so you are listening to the dailybreadproject.com. Out there, the world is crazy. There's chaos. People are scared, afraid. They don't know what's going on. In here, it's all love. We want to build you up. We want to nourish you. We want to bring the light so that you know there's some good in the world. And I can't do it all by myself. I need help from some friends. And today I have a very special friend, and I'm going to call her an OG. She is an OG because she's got, I think, nearly 130 episodes. Cherylanne Skolnicki, Brilliant Balance Show, nearly 3 years on the air, changing lives, empowering women. You guys don't know how lucky you are. What is up, Cherylanne?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you, my friend? Good to
This
see you.
It's nice to see you too. And this right here is really something to me. What's up with the video? Like you've been hardcore video lately, and I'm loving it.
Uh, well, I think what we've learned is that video works, right? There's just a much stronger level of intimacy with our audience in video. And so in this whole stay-at-home phase of life, we've started a daily video broadcast. It's been good. It's been good.
I know
Still
it's
don't
been
have the
good.
podcast on video, but maybe someday.
All right, so here's what we do. I'm going to give you the rundown. I don't have a script, but I do have some questions. And so what we talk about here is power, positivity, leadership, love, and opportunity. And so the first thing I want to ask you, Cherylanne, where do you draw your power from?
Oh, what a great question. I mean, the answer that just comes first to my mind is my faith. I think it is at the center of my life. It's not something I talk about all the time in our audience, but it is definitely, especially now, where I think is my greatest source of power. And then after that, a series of what I call my foundational balance practices, or sometimes I call them my power practices. A short list of behaviors that I do regularly that make me the best me. So for me, those include things like spending time alone every day, spending time outside every day, kind of no matter the weather, although it's a heck of a lot more fun when it's sunny. Um, it is writing every day. It's exercise every day, getting enough sleep, like a short list of practices that physically, emotionally, and mentally make me the best me.
Now, I want to ask you about something you said there that I find interesting. The first answer was faith before those power practices. And you said that you don't talk about it much. And I'm kind of curious, how come?
Yeah, I think that if you follow my work, my faith is evident in everything that I do, but it's not front and center in my messaging. So I sometimes describe it as it's like I want to use secular language to teach faith-based principles, and it helps me reach a broader audience and not have it be polarizing to people who may not be where I am on their faith journey or they're of a different faith tradition.
I like it. She's being all inclusive, folks, but I always saw your faith in your work. And so so I'm like, you didn't say it, but wait, I could pick up on it, but it's already
It's hard
baked
to
in.
miss. It's hard to miss, right?
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next one. And this is so important right now more than ever. And I think that you are incredibly good at this. In fact, uh, you've challenged us with this because sometimes we like to pull the negative stuff to motivate people, and you've always wanted to stay on the positive side. And so, how do you stay positive?
You know, I don't think I can help myself. I think that I was really probably born an optimist. It is maybe rooted in my faith again, because to me, the greatest power we have is hope, the sense that our future will be better than our past. And it's so endemic to who I am that I do wake up every day with that worldview. That's not to say it doesn't get challenged or questioned, but I think I really was probably born with a healthy dose of optimism that just causes me to look for possibilities and not limitations in everything that I do. My mom was an optimist. You know, my mom is an optimist. She, sometimes we called her Pollyanna, if you know that story, like kind of an old school story. But we would tease her that she was such a Pollyanna, and yet I think it was contagious and has served me really well.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I wish I would have learned that earlier. I might have a few less wrinkles. Cool, cool, cool. So let's keep moving on. And I want to, so this could hit in a few different spots. And so right now, things are a little bit crazy. People are a little bit crazy. The work has changed. Um, and so, what I'd like to know is how has your leadership been affected, both at home, at work, with your clients? What's your leadership doing or looking like differently now?
That's such also a good question. You know, early on, when it was very clear that our lives were going to change markedly and not for a really short period of time, which for in my world was March 12th. That was the day that Ohio, where I live, sent our children home from school. At least until April 5th, I think was the first order. And that I had been for about 3 days feeling this very clear sense of this is real. Like this is bigger than we think. Something really substantial is going to go down. And honestly, the people close to me thought I was a little crazy at the time. Like, yeah, you're probably overreacting. You know, you're reading too much. And it was very clear to me that something very substantial was about to go down. So the 12th was when our kids got sent home from school. And I took some time in between the 13th and the 15th, so Friday through Sunday, to sit down with a notebook, which my husband says is my favorite place to be in the world. Like you'll find me with a cup of coffee and a notebook, and that is my happy place. And I wrote a letter to myself essentially on how did I want to show up during this time for my family, for my team, and for our community, the Brilliant Balance community. And what was at the center of that document was, you know, in times of crisis, leaders are visible, and I will not hide. So, you know, you asked me earlier, like, what's with all the video? And I think that's what's with all the video. It was a very clear sense that voices of wisdom are going to be um, they're going to be in demand, and they may not be easy to find. And so if there is wisdom to be imparted and I feel like I have something to say, then I'm going to show up and make sure that I'm visible and people can find me. And so in our team, how that has manifested is kind of a two-part strategy. Short term, I've called it short-term agility and long-term recovery, right? So what does it look like to make changes in the short term that might be throwaway? There might be work done right now that we might not need later. But knowing that we are steering toward, like I keep describing it as a shallow U, this curve that we've sort of fallen into a ditch, but we're coming out the other side of this. And we are not falling off a cliff. The world is not flat, right? There's this sense of we will come around the other side. So who do we want to be? What are we steering toward? Who do we want to be as the world finds its way, in this new normal? So that's what it's looked like as a leader, is daily briefings with my team. We're doing a daily stand-up, quote unquote stand-up, right, over Zoom, which we did not have prior to this. We did not have a daily all hands meeting. And we put it in place with this. I think it's something we'll probably keep. And then in our community, the first thing we did was said, as a leader, I want to become indispensable to our current clients. We're blessed with this loyal following of clients. We already have them. We've worked hard to earn their trust. Let's show up for them when they need us most. And so the first thing we did was put me into more visible roles with our clients. And then we went to the broader community and said, okay, what does it look like there? It looks like daily touch points. And so that became tea time, which we had done, episodically, maybe once a week. And it became, no, this is 2:30 every day. We will show up for you and hold your hand through this period. And it's been really rewarding as a leader. Every one of those things has been powerful. And then in my family, which I skipped over, it's not hard to be visible when you're all in the house all the time, right? That is not hard. I have 3 children. They're 9, 12, and 15. And the biggest change for them, of course, is school and the fact that they are being educated at home during this period. And so it looked like finding my way as their educator, which interestingly has been less involved in all 3 cases than I thought it would be at the front end. They are really supporting one another. I have a role to play, but it's because of the ages of my kids, it's not as all consuming as it is for some people right now with really young kids at home.
Yeah,
That was a
that's
long
interesting.
answer.
So no, and they're helping each other, huh? So they grouped up and they're doing a little bit of work. Thank golly for that, huh? So you can keep taking your time that you
It's
need.
phenomenal. My 15-year-old, yeah. So my husband and I had to get really clear on what were the zones going to be for work, both physically, like who has which workstation in the house. And we're lucky that we can spread out a bit in the house. People can have their own space to work. And then also who was going to be sort of on call for the kids at various times during the day. So we split our day into zones. And he's on duty at certain times, I am at others. And there are times because of the ages where the kids can run this, especially with the 15-year-old on hand. She's a huge help.
How about that? I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. So there's something you said there that I just want to hear a little bit more about, because I think people have their heads buried in the sand about this, and I want to get your take on it. You said that this is a new normal. Now, a lot of people out there in the world are waiting for the world to get back to normal. You're calling it a
Yeah.
new normal. Can you speak to that a bit?
So my language on this is actually pretty specific. I would call this a temporary normal. So what we are in right now, we have to normalize for the time being, okay? Because it's too long to be like a really short aberration. If this had been a 2-week social distancing experiment in school at home, you can sort of treat it as vacation and nothing too bad will happen. But we are going to be in this phase for long enough that I think we have to develop a bit of surrender to what is, and a bit of capability at how do you navigate this. Like, you can't just ignore it and put your head in the sand and think this is going to pass and we're all going to go back, to exactly the way things were. But I don't think this is permanent. I don't think this, with the way we are living, as we record this at the end of April, is a permanent new normal. I think this is temporary. And I think where we're headed, though, is towards something new, what will ultimately become a new normal. And that's the greatest opportunity and the greatest burden we have right now. Because if we waste this forced pause, if we take this time and we say, all I want to do is put my head in the sand and go back to the way it was, we'll have wasted the greatest gift that this pause has in store for us, which is to use this time to be reflective and to carry forward only the pieces of our lives before that we loved and that were serving us. So am I anxious to hug my parents again? Yeah. Like, I can't wait to have a family dinner with everybody around the table. But there are pieces of my life before and my clients' lives before that I hope we don't rush to recreate because they weren't serving us very well to begin with.
And that choice of word is beautiful. Serving us. I don't think enough people think of it that way. Are these behaviors, what I'm doing, is this serving me? That's such an evolved thought. Thank you for putting that out there. So let's move to one of my favorite parts. It's actually my second favorite part, love. So what opportunities are you loving right now? What are you loving as everything is unfolding right now?
I am loving more time outside, which is so bizarre to me that is the thing that has I've been like struck by. So I live in a suburban community. We have a lot of opportunities to be outside. I have a big yard. I have a great backyard space. We sort of can walk without getting too close to other people. I'm not in an urban environment. And the fact that I can build that into my day, which I am doing, I'm, spending walking time mostly, but time outside at least once every day, if not more than once, has developed a new cadence that I really hope I sustain because I truly cherish that time. I am loving not having to run around with my kids' activities in the evening. I mean, it is a hustle, in our normal life. I have been beating the drum for a long time that this is probably not the way I would choose to live, right? I would probably not choose to spend so much of our evenings transporting children to activities that are not exactly next door, right? Like, I might drive a kid 20 minutes to one and have to wait for them for 2 hours before you drive them back. So everybody's kind of in different directions in most evenings. And that is not my ideal. I am, really fundamentally attached to the family dinner and some time as a family in the evening. And I have to be honest, our kids have missed that activity a lot less than you might think. They are not talking about, God, I can't wait to go back to all of that after school hustle. And they're really settling into a rhythm of like, this feels pretty good. We're less stressed, we're less anxious. So I'm loving that.
Are you guys doing the nightly dinner like we started doing every night? We all sit down together now. Yeah.
Yeah. But see, we were doing that before. So that's not new for us. But I'm having so much fun watching other people realize what that ritual does for a family. That has been paramount for me for years. So even with this hustle, I mean, I will move the time of dinner as early as 4:45 or as late as 8:30 if I have to get everybody around that table. But it is really important to me that that's our one chance every day in our pre-coronavirus life, right? That is our one chance to really be in one place at one time, having one experience. And as a family, more of that is a good thing.
I love it. So I wanted to just ask you a tactical question. You said that being outside is now built into your day. So is this something that you put on your schedule every day, or how is it built into your day?
Yes. So 5 o'clock. I have been a morning workout person my whole life, and I still am. So I'm still getting my morning workout before I start my day. I tried not doing that in the name of working with my 9-year-old on schoolwork. It's not good for me. I am definitely a better me with a morning workout. So I'm doing that, whether it's indoor or outdoor. And then we're doing our all hands meeting as a team at 4 p.m. So we're closing out the day together. And as soon as we're done, I am in my outdoor clothes and out the door. And it's a great transition from my workday to the rest of the day, which now feels kind of long because we're not running around all the time. So from 5 till bedtime, there's a good stretch there, to really be, to have discretion over what I'm doing with that time, and the kids to have discretion over what they're doing with it.
All right. Now, This is my favorite question, and you kind of touched on it earlier. That's why I didn't probe too much. But I want to jump to the future.
Okay.
5 years from now, 2025, we're looking back at this time. How do you want to be remembered?
Such a good question. I should have listened to your episodes to know this was coming, huh? Um, I'll give you the first phrase that comes to my mind, which is I want to be remembered as a voice of wisdom. You know, that I used my voice to share ideas that elevated people's thinking during this time, you know, that kept them out of fear, that kept them out of avoidance. Like, I think the two things I'm seeing the most of left to our own devices are giving into fear and establishing a pattern, either intentional or unintentional, of avoidance. Like, I just don't want to think about this. If I'm proud of myself after this, it will be because I was a voice of wisdom, sort of helping people guard against those two things.
Fear and avoidance. Digging it, digging it. All right. So, Cherylanne Skolnicki, Brilliant Balance Show. Anything you want to say to the Daily Bread listeners in closing?
I think the closing comment I would make is that it's been really heartening to me within our community to realize that people have not forgotten that we still have a future to steer toward. You know, that when you have a vision for what you want your future to look like, and you stay focused on possibilities of all the different ways you could make that future your reality, that has not been taken from us. So the timing might be different, the pathway may be different, the degree of difficulty may be different, but the future is not lost. And staying in a state of agency where you're steering toward that vision and steering toward possibilities is what will allow you to stay in hope and ultimately to navigate this to the best possible outcome for you and for your family.
Beautiful. Cherylanne, thank you for bringing the light. That's leadership in good and hard times. This is the Daily Bread Project. Look up Cherylanne wherever you listen to podcasts. Brilliant Balance Show, 130 of them out there. Oh, gee. Thank you so much, Cherylanne. I appreciate you more than you know.
Thank you.
Ciao.